Okay, for this section, still using trig. We're going to end up using trig, but it says to the nearest degree here. So that means to the nearest whole number. Okay, whenever you're trying to find that missing angle, that's going to be to the nearest degree, which is whole number. All right, so we're going to do the same steps before. Circle the angle, label the sides. We're trying to find missing angle, so this is when we're using the inverse, because this question mark represents the angle. That's our x. So we're going to have to do the inverse. When the x is inside, we do the inverse. But we circle that x. We look across. That is opposite. Right here, 28 is adjacent. So what trig function do we use dealing with O and an A, or opposite and adjacent? And that would be, oh, I'm sorry. This is wrong. It is x. It is opposite, but this is our right angle. This is the hypotenuse. So opposite and hypotenuse, that's sine. So we write sine of x equals opposite over adjacent, which is, a hypotenuse, which is 22 over 28. But to find the x, this is when we do the sine inverse. That's that -1, 22 over 28. So when you hit to your calculator, you hit your trig, sine inverse, -1, 22 divided by 28. And we round to the nearest whole number. So our angle is 52 degrees. X is approximately 52 degrees. All right, so again, we're angle, the question mark is our angle. X is inside the triangle, so we do the inverse. Label our parts. We have opposite for 6, adjacent for 9. That would be cosine. So cosine of x equals, I'm so off today. That would be tangent, sorry. Tangent of x would be opposite over adjacent, which is 9. So this is when we do the tan inverse. And then we got to put that in the calculator and get an answer. So our last one is make sure you're setting up correctly. This one is adjacent and hypotenuse. So here we have the cosine of x equals 26 over 28. So to find the x, which is your angle, we do the cosine -1. So got to put it in the calculator, get our answer. All right, so the next set, our next question, and you're basically going to have a question that's kind of like this. We're reading off the graph, off the picture. Angle of elevation is up and the depression is down. Another way to think of elevation, if it's angle of elevation, the angle number, or the number of the angle, is above the horizontal line. That's usually your dotted line. If it's angle of depression, right here, depression, that means the number of your angle is below the horizontal line. So on this first problem, it says, what is the description of angle 2 as stated in the situation below? So just so we know, we have, this is a plane, this is a tower of some sort, and this is a person, okay? All right, so angle 2 is right here in relationship to the dotted line. That number, that letter, that number right there, you can see is above the dotted line. So we're looking for elevation of somewhat. Right there, depression and depression will eliminate A and D. So is angle 2 the angle of elevation from the plane? No. Angle 2 is the angle of elevation from the radar tower. Yes, the answer was C here. Okay, from the radar tower. Now we're going to take that and apply it to some word problems. So you have 2 word problems, I believe, on your test. I've highlighted the key information, memorize these steps, these rules. Fortunately, you're going to have your diagram all pretty much labeled for you, and then one where you don't have it labeled. You have to draw it. So here, because they tell us that the ship's deepest The sonar operator on a ship detects a submarine at a distance of 500 meters. So that's important. And they already gave us that distance right there. And an angle of depression of 40 degrees. That's important too. And they gave us that angle right there. How deep is the submarine? So our distance, how deep it is, would be here. That's what we're trying to find. That's where our X. So we're going to label that. And then we circle our angle. This would be opposite. This is our hypotenuse. So what trig function is dealing with opposite and hypotenuse? Exactly, sine. So we write sine of 40 equals x over 500. Then we look at that x is on top, so what do we do? Correct, if you said multiply, that's right, we're going to do 500 times the sine of 40. Type that in the calculator, we get x is approximately 321.4. So when we get to 24, I don't think it's letting me, let me pause this real quick. All right, so for 24, sorry about that, there is no picture. Here's your clue. Always draw a right triangle for our problems for this section. Always draw a right triangle. So it doesn't have to be to scale, but it needs to be a right triangle. Put that right angle. And then label based on what's given on your right triangle. So it says the spotlight is mounted on the wall 7.4 feet above the desk. Above the desk will be over here. Okay? And then it's used the light at the entrance door 9.3 feet from the desk. That would be on the ground. That would be here. It says to the nearest degree, what's the angle of depression? Well, most people would think the angle of depression would be right here. No, because it's made with the horizontal line. So here's a little trick, or just a reminder. Your angle of depression, I'm going to abbreviate that, is always equal to your angle of elevation. So that's why if you draw a right triangle, you could always put it down here with the horizontal line at the bottom, at the base. So there's our angle that we're going to use. Then we're going to label our parts. We have opposite and we have adjacent. So that is using tangent. And we're trying to find the angle, so that's using the inverse. So I can just go into one step, tan inverse of 7.4 divided by 9.3. Put that in the calculator. Our angle comes out to be approximately 39 degrees. Okay? So remember to always draw a right triangle when the picture's not given to you. Okay? So now we got some mixed practice problems. I'm just going to kind of give you hints. I want you to try to do these on your own. Check with your teacher if you want to know for sure the answer. So here we have the 6, which would be opposite the 30. So that's your short leg. So that's your hint right there. We do short leg to get the long leg. Anytime I get the long leg, it's the short leg times radical 3. Or just to put the short leg in front of the radical 3. So here we would have 6 root 3. And now that is the short leg in this triangle. And this is the long leg in that triangle. Your hint to this problem is that you will have a whole number answer. Okay? So remember, start with one triangle, go to the other. The only thing I'm going to give you on 26 is the legs are congruent. Find your hypotenuse and use that to get to your next one. This ends up being the leg in the green triangle. Again, this is a whole number answer. Now, when we get to 27, read it, label the given information. Most of this is already labeled for you. This is a 8-foot metal guy wire. It's attached. We got that. So we have the wire. That's right here. That's our hypotenuse. It makes an angle of 51 degrees. So that's right there. How far to the nearest foot is it? How far is it from? So that's right here. So there you go. See if you can do your trick on that. And then here we're gonna, this is important, this is gonna be a right angle. This is 60, so this has to be 30. And then we know that that is your short leg. So that helps you to find, because they want you to know how far is the ship from the lighthouse. We need to find the hypotenuse over here. So we have the short leg. It's real simple to find the hypotenuse. And then here we're going to have to draw a picture. Remember, if no picture is given, always draw a right triangle. So that's your hint. Both of these, no pictures given, draw a right triangle. 23 should be here. 1200 is here because that's your altitude. What is the distance from point P to the plane? We're missing the picture on this. I realize that's going to be here, I believe. So put it there. And just try your best. Thank you for taking care of this.